Hey kids, this is Aaron from the podcast that wouldn't die, and Kevin and I use Zencastr. You think you're better than us, that you're using something else? You're wrong. Zencastr's the place to be. Who are you to deny it?
It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code DIEHARD and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time for you to share your story.
Only a fool will give up a chance for a 30% discount.
Jason and the Argonauts, the classic story of an epic voyage that has been told and retold since the birth of Western civilization, now presented on the screen for the first time.
Pull! Pull! Till your hearts crack and your backs break!
Jason and his band of Argonauts, the mightiest warriors the world of adventure has ever known, in search of the fabulous magic golden fleece.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Hello.
This week, we're discussing the fantasy movie, Jason and the Argonauts. It's Greek mythology at its finest. Does it fit within what we normally do on the show? Who the hell knows?
It has monsters, and they're scary. That means horror.
That means horror. Each week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and genre, and horror and science fiction, and occasionally whatever the hell we feel like doing genres. So there you go. With the occasional comedic twist, we hope. Aaron, what's the latest?
Oh my Lord. I had this crazy nightmare last night that I was moving to San Francisco. I was still working here, but I rented an apartment in San Francisco because my plan is, I'll just live there eventually. And
okay,
I was gonna be there for the weekends and then drive 4 hours on Monday morning to work during the week here, I guess. And I get there, and not only have I not rented an apartment, I have not even rented a room in an apartment. I am, for whatever freakish amount of money, I am sharing a room. And I go into my room, and who has the bed next to me but my assistant principal? And then I'm like, what the hell? She's telling me to pipe down. She's trying to sleep. And I'm walking around this apartment, and all of a sudden, out of all the various rooms are all various teachers that are at my school. Why are they in San Francisco killing my buzz? And of course, once you say that out loud, you realize these are all the people that are going to the conference in San Francisco that I'm going to this weekend. So clearly I have some trauma that they're going to kill my buzz while I'm off on a work vacation.
Maybe it's a premonition, right?
It's a premonition. Scoot over, Aaron.
Are you an oracle? I mean, has the truth come out? Goodness gracious.
I was like, this one was a little too obvious. I like my bad dreams to be a little bit more subtle.
Honestly, I don't even remember my dreams. I have no recollection. Although my wife does. When I'm kicking and spazzing out, she has to throw a pillow over my face to get me to calm down. Yeah.
No, this is my it's an early morning dream. So it's I've been waking up an hour before, and I could sense it. And I refuse to open my eyes, so I'll drift back asleep, and then this will be the dream where I'm in the middle of when the alarm goes off, and it's a bullet's got off next to your head. You're like, ah!
You need some of that good Michael Jackson stuff, right? The propofol or whatever it was. Just put it right in your
Dude,
arm.
that sounds dreamy. I remember once I had surgery and they were just injecting morphine into my belly. I was like, now that's the ticket. I get it now. I get it.
What, you know what? I mean, I wasn't going to talk about this. I had a colonoscopy yesterday.
That's the best. That's
the
the
best.
best.
It's the best.
Oh,
I was
never
concerned
so.
it was good. I was concerned it was going to be kind of a prison thing, or that situation where Fletch is like, Moon River, you have to use the whole fist doc. Did you ever do time? That's what I thought. But no, you sleep right through, wake up, it's all done. It's a good time.
Oh, dude. Yeah. As I say, the worst part is the prep. After that, it's like the most blissful sleep you ever had, and then whoever's in charge of your body takes you to get something good to eat because you haven't eaten in 24 hours. You're like, it's the best of both worlds.
Well, it's like I carried away. They gave me a glass of apple juice. That was all they did. I said, get back to your cell.
I
you
made
freak.
my son drive me to go get all day breakfast. So I had chicken fried steak and eggs.
You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to take it easy on your tummy. Anyway,
that was taking it easy. I took it easy for 24 hours with their jug of poison and the explosive diarrhea, where you're like, how am I going to be able to get from this toilet to their office in one piece?
I'm frankly horrified that I brought this up. I apologize to America.
It's your fault. Thank you, colonoscopy.
Colon blowing you in the morning.
I'm telling you, though, you wake up from that and you're like, can't you give me a little half or something? I still got some more sleep in me.
How about one for the road? Basically,
they're like waking you up. I'm like, leave me be. They're like, we need the bed. I'm like, 30 more minutes.
No, 30 more minutes. Sweet Jesus. Let's move on, shall we? Why don't you give us your 30-second synopsis of Jason and the Argonauts.
All right. Half-assed telling of Jason and the Argonauts. It doesn't even complete his whole journey, but cool monsters. The end.
It does end rather abruptly, doesn't it?
I was
it's just like,
how can we never hear about part 2?
Right. Well, there's a whole look at. Okay. He's set on the goddamn journey, ostensibly to die, right? The evil king who he's trying to murder for massacring like his family and usurping his throne, sends him on a. I guess he never finds out that the evil king, the person who sent him on the journey, was actually the evil king that he was after.
Yes,
right?
He does, because the king's son's with him when they're in like Mycenae or wherever the hell they're supposed to be with the guy
Colchis.
with yeah.
We jumped right out. Okay. Anywho,
the slave that sasses back, I'm pretty sure they just throw you in the water. You start talking sassy with a captain.
What was his goddamn? He jumps overboard. What was his plan? Right? I mean, he was going to steal the golden fleece, and then what? Paddle back to frickin' Thessaly? Anyway, we're jumping. Where
he did what he was doing. But here's the thing. The gods have already foretold what was going to happen. So it seems to me that you're just delaying it. You're just delaying the time.
It's a whole thing. Anyway, had you ever seen this before?
No, I've always wanted to because I love Ray Harryhausen.
Right. This is early Harryhausen. Growing up, for me, it was Clash of the Titans. It was early 80s.
Oh, before that, you had the Sinbad movies.
Yeah, the Sinbad, the one that I love, the Golden Voyage of Sinbad, was probably 5 years prior to that. But Harryhausen was doing shit.
Give me the Seventh Voyage. I don't know where the other 6 movies went, but give me the Seventh Voyage.
There's only 3 Sinbad movies. There's the one from like the late 50s, early 60s.
Why do they call it the Seventh Voyage if there are only 3 voyages?
Do you know why? Do you want me to shall I tell you why?
Harryhausen had a strokey or something?
There was this ancient book called 1001 Arabian Nights.
Yes.
And if you go back and read, I don't know, each night, Queen Scheherazade
Nights like Arabian days, more often than not, are hotter than hot in a lot of good ways.
How do you know
At
all this?
Arabian Nights, I love Aladdin. It's one of my favorite Disney movies.
The evil sultan is going to murder Queen Scheherazade, and
Yes,
she delays her death by each night telling him a different story. A
with a
thousand and
cliffhanger.
one, a
Yeah,
thousand and one different genie stories. So mixed in there, you had Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, you had Aladdin and a magic lamp, and you also had multiple adventures of Sinbad, the sailor, doing sailing shit, essentially. So for some bizarro reason, in the late 50s, early 60s, they're like, let's do the seventh voyage. And that's what they
yeah.
did.
The first six were kind of dull, but seven's where it heats up. And then the golden anniversary, is that the 20th voyage?
Not called the Golden Anniversary. The Golden Voyage, they just said, F it. We're just going to cherry pick what we want and throw the rest back. And then they did one more starring John Wayne's son, Patrick Wayne, called Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. And that was the last of the Sinbad movies.
I was often confused as a child growing up the ethnicity of these people in the Sinbad. I'm like,
As you should be.
sometimes they seem to be Arab, but other times they seem to be Indian in their garbs. I'm like, what's happening? Who are these people?
Well, and they're all
Is there
blonde hair,
some
blue
part
eye.
where it's all just crossed over and it's a melting pot?
It's a melting pot, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing
That's
about
what they
it.
always say about the Middle East. It's just a big
Just
melting pot.
And in Hollywood, what we like to do is only choose our Arab actors to play Native Americans. When we actually need when we actually need Arab characters, no thanks. Stay
Do
home,
they hire
Michael Ansara.
Do they hire Native Americans to play the Middle Eastern commands?
Right? Wah, wah, wah.
Not
Anyway,
so
that's
much.
neither. So Harryhausen was doing his shit like way back when. Black and white movies, like monster
He didn't do
movies.
King Kong, right?
No. That was a little too early even for Harryhausen, but it was still that kind of thing, right? But
Stop
Harryhausen,
motion.
he did his stop motion for it seemed like for frickin' 40 years at least.
Yeah.
40 years of critters moving around. And I literally followed Ray Harryhausen. I'm sure it's the estate of Ray Harryhausen. That would be weird. On X when I was still on there. So, good stuff.
Oh, so
Good
you don't
stuff.
think he's still kicking around?
He's not doing his own posts. At least that much I can guarantee. But so this was a movie I had actually not seen until fairly recently, within the last 10 years. Because again, this is early 60s when they did Jason and the Argonauts. I think I had heard of it, but for example, I still haven't seen Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger, and that's late 70s. So, there's only so many.
And the thrill of the fight.
And the thrill of the fight. Exactly. Survivor did the soundtrack for that one. Thank you. That's a deep
how current
poll.
it is. Yeah,
That's how current. But
I have not seen
again,
that one either.
No, we're gonna add it to the list. If we're just doing whatever the hell, if it has Harryhausen, it's now kind of grandfathered in. We could talk about it. Is that what it is?
Well, I googled horror, and it's movies that are meant to cause fear, and I think those monsters were meant to cause fear.
Do you think that? Interesting.
That's right.
Why don't we jump right
scary.
into?
When I was a kid, they freaked me out. In what is it? Is it the seventh voyage where Kali comes to life again?
That's the Golden Voyage, which we've talked about on the show.
The Golden Voyage, Kali
Yes.
comes to life. Hence my confusion over which country they're actually dealing with. With the 12 arms.
Correct. Remember, Sinbad goes to that island with the crazy green people, who I guess are also Hindi. So I'm not sure how this works.
Oh, I
Doesn't
didn't
make any
realize
sense.
Hindi people were green.
They're green. It's a thing. According to this
that's
movie.
Changed since the 1960s. I see.
Since the 1970s. Sweet Lord. Okay. Let's just jump right in. you should know what Jason the Argonauts is basically about. Essentially, it's a famous Greek legend. Jason and the gang go on a voyage to discover the Golden Fleece. That's what the whole goddamn thing is
They
about. And I
didn't
have to say,
discover it. They were sent to retrieve it.
yes, they were sent to go get it. They were go. It was that was the treasure that they were searching for some
It's a
goddamn reason.
classic tale of Zeus and Hera battling each other using mortal men as pawns.
Correct. And I guess in a shocking twist, King Peleus conquers Thessaly and tries to murder kills the king or whatever and the queen.
Who is his
And
brother?
is that what it was? I don't
Yeah.
know. Is that are you make okay? Did
Maybe
they mention that in the
real.
movie?
I think that mentions it in real life.
In real life. So he murders King Peleus murders one of the daughters in Hera's temple, and then because there's like two daughters and one son. I don't know what happens to the other daughter. They throw her to the wolves or something off camera. But a kindly centurion rescues and whisks Jason away. Where he goes, no explanation. We don't know what happens. Because Zeus wanted Peleus to assume the throne of Thessaly, but not have it forever. Only have it for 20 years, essentially. And 20 years, and I guess they say it's 20 years of just debacle. Is what Jason says when he arrives on the scene. 20 years later, who knows where he's been.
I mean, basically, why bother with anything if you can just make a sacrifice and get the straight story? Well, then I'd be like, well, then screw it. I'm going back to my original place.
Why do anything, right?
Why do anything if you know that the gods are just going to be like, let's with him today?
That's basically what it is, right? And so the prophecy is Hera tells Peleus, I'm sure I'm butchering these names, tells him, you'll be king for 20 years, but your death will be assured by the guy with one sandal. And 20 years later, the king of Thessaly falls into the creek or some shit, and there comes Jason, not knowing who he is, rescues him.
I believe Hera kicked him into the water.
She did.
Basically made it all come to pass because he was like, "What?
Correct." She trips his ass into the creek, and then Jason saves him, not knowing who he is, and the king brings him back to his tent. And again, Jason doesn't know what the is happening. He's just like, "Oh yeah, I'm here to kill the king. I'm Jason." Everybody kind of goes, "Oh my god, what?" And Jason, clearly unable to pick up nonverbal cues.
Be cool, everybody. Maintain.
I wanted Jason to be like, well, what's up? What's wrong? What do you mean, guys? Don't we all? Because they literally reacted with shock and horror when he says it in front of the king. Yeah, I'm here to kill Peleus, the king. He's like, he sucks as being a king. So, because that's the thing.
In our hero's journey, and I'm sure this is the same with a lot of these Greek stories, our Greek heroes. They're fucking idiots. They're always fucking idiots. Why are they so favored by the gods? Because, I mean, literally, Jason is like one of our students who is like, I need help. Really? What do you need help with? All of it.
Everything. I don't get you.
He blew through his 5 wishes mystery questions with Hera in 2 minutes.
Yes.
2 minutes. And for nonsense bullshit. And she's literally rolling her eyes and she's like, I'm just gonna give this one to Zeus. He got me on this one.
Which, granted, it's the early 60s, but the crazy masthead on the boat, which was Hera's, with the crazy blinking eyes. It was Disneyland. It was some Disneyland bullshit. Where it's just
I loved it though.
I will help you, Jason.
How about instead of facing forward like most of these mastheads, it's turned around so it's just staring at Jason the whole time.
Yes, the whole TV time. Good Lord. So the king says, hey, before you kill the king, what you should do is go on this long-ass journey to the ends of the world and steal the golden fleece. How's that
The
crime?
gods will be super impressed with you if
They
you do
will love it.
that. Love it.
So somehow Jason, who doesn't have a pot to piss in or window to throw it out, gets somebody to give him a boat and a bunch of, like in the legend, it's like 50 GD soldiers are like,
including
cool.
Hercules. Including fucking Hercules, who also fucks everything up.
God. You think if Hercules is rolling with you, you're in good shape. Wrong.
No.
Wrong.
Even in his hero's tale, he's fucking things up left and right.
And I have to say, it's always amusing because, you know, if they made the Hercules movie today, right, of Jason the Argonauts today, Hercules would be ripped. Back in the early 60s, Hercules got a little bit of a gut hanging low, kind of saggy boobs.
50. He's about
He's
50.
at least 50.
I think they literally just pulled someone who was working out in the field or something. He looked like Tevye from Fiddler on the Roof.
It was Topol. It was 100%
Topol. It was Topol, yes.
It was like, honestly, well, here's the other thing. Half the time, the soldiers are dressed in full battle regalia, and the other times, just in their chonies, in their dirty, tiny whities, and nothing else. And nothing else.
They were dressed like Jesus on the cross. Just like a bit of fabric tucked around him. And then 5 minutes later, they're like in brand new armor. Like, where did that come from? Were they shipwrecked with a trunk full of new uniforms also?
Do you know why they were called the Argonauts, Aaron?
Because the ship was called the Argo, and they're sailors.
Do you know why it was called the Argo?
Because it means like to seek or something. What does it mean? Tell me.
The reason it was called the Argo and they're called the Argonauts is because the ship was built by that old bald dude named Argus. And he's like, who comes along the journey, by the way? You think it's all a bunch of young strapping dudes like it's Plato's Retreat wearing their chonies. Guess again, there's going to be an old ass bastard in the back doing nothing but just being old and fat. In his underwear.
I link that to every sports arena that has to carry the name of the people who currently threw a bunch of money at it. So
the Cleveland Browns.
They were doing that at the same time. When I first moved here, our whatever arena was called Centennial Gardens.
Okay.
After that, it quickly went from Rabobank Arena, Mechanics Bank Arena. I don't even know, like places I've never heard of in my life. I'm like, do we even have a bank here that is related to this name? And every 3 years, I swear it's something else. I'm just going to go back
the
to
stadium
by the original name.
Right. They sell the naming rights to their stadiums, but the Cleveland Browns were named after their coach, Paul Brown, and they've just kept it ever since, out of tradition. And
so it's not AT&T Cleveland Browns?
It should be. Why not? In the NBA, for a brief time, the Charlotte basketball team was owned by the guy who owns BET, Bob Johnson. And while he owned the team, it was called the Charlotte Bobcats.
Oh.
Bob Johnson, the Bobcats.
But
when he sold the
stadium, not the freaking teams.
I'm talking about the teams. So there you go. Who gives a damn what the stadium's called? You want to get serious, look at what the goddamn teams are called. Anyway.
The Utah Jazz, because they're so big in music.
Well, if you want to get deep, how many lakes are in Los Angeles? Not many.
That's true.
Wah.
There's like some ponds. There's a bay. They could be the Bayers.
How many Lions are in Detroit? Eventually, you just be like, whatever. Moving on.
Yeah.
So, like, I have to say, like, I would often mix up Jason and the Argonauts with the Odyssey, because they're both about dudes going on adventures and wacky shit seems to occur.
I think there's some crossover maybe at some point.
There's not.
I think you're lying because I looked at Wikipedia. Continue on with your rant.
The Odyssey is named after Odysseus and his gang who were leaving the Trojan War and trying to sail back to, I don't know,
Oh, is that
Sparta
a
or wherever the
fact?
hell they
I
were
was
from.
unfamiliar.
It was a fact. It was a fact. Which you might notice, Jason the Argonauts, no mention of the Trojan War. And frankly, Hercules did not fight the Trojan War either. So it is what it is. Such is life. What else you got, Aaron? Any notes at all?
I'm Googling. Keep talking.
Because you don't believe me? Is that what you're going to spend 20 minutes trying to determine if
No,
Odysseus...
because I looked up something.
Okay.
Keep
I'll
talking.
wait, and so will America. No, I'm not talking to the back of your head. Well, you keep searching for stuff just to prove that I'm wrong. You want my help? Sweet
Homer
Jesus.
mentions the voyage of Jason and the Argonauts in the Odyssey, indicating that the myth... there you go.
That was
Homer
it?
mentions it there. Hey, close enough.
Oh,
Close enough.
the guy who wrote the Odyssey mentions, I'm ripping this shit from Jason and the Argonauts. I'm straight plagiarizing this shit. Okay. Anywho. So along the way, there's all sorts of crazy shit that goes on here.
I tried to write down all the monsters.
Why don't we hit that, Aaron? Run us down. What are the monsters we see?
Well, before I do that, I want to quote
Please.
Zeus. This is how you know the ancient gods and maybe the current gods. F you. Gods help those that need their help least. Really? In other words, oh, you're rich? Here you go. Let me lean on you. Oh, your baby's starting? F off. Gods help those who need their help the least.
That's not very helpful, Zeus, if I'm being honest.
That is a direct quote from Zeus himself.
From Zeus, from the original texts. Interesting. Hit me with the monsters.
We have Talos, who becomes a giant metal... He's one of the Titans, and he's a statue, and Hercules, as Hercules does, told not to touch things, and of course touches things. At
the first fucking place they arrive, Jason, like Hera says, make sure nobody takes any of the treasure shit. And Jason goes directly to Hercules and his little homie Hylas and says, hey, don't take any shit. And Hercules is like, well, what if I meet some chicks along the way? Can I just kidnap them? He's like, no, if they're on the island... Leave them bitches alone.
Kidnapping with intent to rape, no rape with an attempt to kidnap, nothing. Touch nothing.
Leave them alone. And he's like, okay, cool. And the first goddamn place, well, they're out supposedly looking for food, he said you can take food and water. Hercules finds the place. He's like, oh shit, what do we got here? And Hylas is supposed to be the smart one, goes, hey, I don't think we're supposed to take this shit. And Hercules is like, what if I take a little bit? Is that cool? Is that all right?
It's all right. No one will miss it. Record scratch. Yeah.
I mean,
and then he
murder
had the gall to wonder where little Hylas is after we all watched him crushed to death because of Hercules' nonsense. And no one says, Hercules, we all watched him get crushed to death. He's dead, and it's your fault. They're just like, right. I don't know where he went. Your little buddy, Skipper.
Because how many people got killed because of Hercules pulling whammies, right? Yeah. Talos, the giant, is stomping people, throwing people in the ocean. Hera manages to tell Jason how to defeat Talos, but not, it's so goddamn ridiculous.
They can't just be straight. They have to... There has to be like a weakness at ankle or a riddle. A dude with one shoe is going to kill you. What?
It's some Greek shit is what it is.
Yeah.
So they defeat Talos using the wisdom from Hera. But then freaking Hylas, Hercules' little buddy, goes, oh, Hercules, know that shit you stole that you weren't supposed to? You left it behind. I'm going to go run back and get it. underneath the falling, 100-foot bronze statue and get
Yeah, you get
squished.
what you get.
How's that
Hercules still
gravity?
has to go crazy and go back and butcher his wife, I think. These guys were amazing heroes.
Correct. But it's also that thing where it's like Hercules is super strong and tough. We can't have you bring him along on the adventure. We got to lose him early. So it's almost like better if Hercules never came, right? Because he didn't do anything except cause ruckus.
Except we need him to cause a ruckus and then dump him because we're never going to get through anywhere.
Right. So Hercules basically says, I don't know where Hylas is. He's my little homie. So I can't leave without him. And Jason's like, you saw him get crushed under the giant statue. What you talking about?
Start digging over there, brother. Start digging over there.
Start
and
digging.
Then again, he has to go, I don't know what I should do, Hera. He's not going to be part of your future. You might as well set sail. Okay.
Well, there's almost a mutiny because all the homies are like, why are you leaving Hercules? We can't leave Hercules. He's the best of us. Are you going to abandon Hercules? And a lot of this shit.
Look at what the best of us did. Look at what the best of us did. Is he the best
100%.
of us?
We didn't mention this, but King Peleus' evil son is also on board, causing ruckus. Like, I kept thinking, like, he was going to be impressed with Jason's bravery and kind of come on board, be like, oh, shit, Jason, you're handling your biz. I'm impressed. I was against you, but now I'm with you. But that never happens.
Why didn't he just kill Jason? Isn't that the point? He never even attempted it.
And that's the thing. Peleus can't kill him because, I don't know, Hera or Zeus or some buddy says, if you kill him, you kill yourself. So that's why he sent him on this perilous journey, hoping that he will die. But he sends his son along. So can his son stab him? Because later he tries. So I don't know. These are important questions. So who's the next monster on the list?
So the next monster on the list is, well, the harpies that are molesting the blind man, Phineas Fogg.
Correct.
I love the harpies too.
Yeah, they're good. This is a case of Phineas was gifted with sight, meaning he can see shit, like the future premonitions or whatever, but he abused it. He didn't use it properly. So now he's blind, and each day some randos bring like a platter of food for him, but before he can eat it, he has like 2 bites of an apple. 2 mean harpies, which are like flying bat women or whatever the hell they are, come and mess with him and then steal the food.
I just kept thinking, you're only eating fruit, you're gonna have such terrible gas and diarrhea.
Well, who are the randos that are delivering food each day? They're like, oh, here you go, we're out. Where the hell did they come from? Unclear.
Well, you're not wrong about that. They have to go to old blind Pew because they keep knocking off all the soothsayer. They're burning their bridges left and right.
Right.
So they decided to put the harpies in a cage so the old man can dance around and wave his junk at them and torture them.
Right. Because that's his punishment, is this shit. So, but that's the thing. They can't kill the harpies because that would really piss off the gods. So this is kind of their loophole. This is the loophole. If we just catch them and put them in a cage, then we won't really piss them off. Although it seems the gods are still rather irritated.
You just never know what these, like, I mean, Hercules is a demigod, but you got all these demigods. I mean, for all you know, this is like a half child to Zeus or something. You can't be killing the freaks. You can't be killing the freaks.
You can't do it. Don't mess with them freaks. So Phineas tells them, sail out there somewhere. When you get to the crushing rocks, turn right or some shit. Yeah. He's like, Which gods are protecting you? He's like, well, none now that we've helped you, you old bastard. And he's like, well, then you're probably screwed. Bon voyage.
I used all my questions because I couldn't figure out anything on my own.
Correct.
But he does give him this little icon of a little dude that he wore on his neck and looked like the old Brady Bunch tiki that Greg Brady had.
100%.
And so Jason was wearing that. And then off they sail for the crushing rocks, where they witness a ship coming through getting crushed by the crushing rocks. And he's like,
No-
sail forth.
Which seems like a bad decision, if I'm being honest. If you know the gods have abandoned you, and you literally just watched another ship similar to yours get crushed by the rocks, to say, let's do this, seems insane. I think a mutiny at that point would have been in order, if I'm being honest.
Where are all the sassy mouths then?
No, not so much. But then he throws the idol in the water, and then Poseidon shows up with the help of Hera and holds back the crushing rocks from to
I
sail
have
through.
to say, I thought that was
Please.
very cool looking. That was very cool looking.
Wasn't bad. You see like the fish tail kind of flap around as he's doing his thing, he's doing his Poseidon
So he's
shit.
holding it with his back against the wall and his hand across the side. And you'll notice all these dudes look very much alike. It's like they gathered a village and put them all to work. Is that Hercules? Is that Poseidon? Is that another guy in a diaper? They all look very related.
Get back into life with Depends. So on the other side of the crushing rocks, they seem to be multiple people in the water, but they only seem to rescue the hottie clinging to the thing like Kate Winslet. And she's from the island they're coming from. And didn't she say something like, oh yeah, we regularly send a boat over here to get crushed as a sacrifice. Right. That's how we roll in Colchis.
So
that seems like a bad deal. She would have
been the sacrifice.
Yes. Well, she should have been, right? She was crushed.
Right.
But
why
Jason
isn't that
not
pissing off the gods? He robbed the gods of a sacrifice.
Correct.
They don't seem real reasonable people.
They do not. And this is when Acestes, who's the son of Peleus, is like, you know what? Once we get to Colchis, we should just steal that shit and run off. Which seemed like a good idea, if I'm being honest, right?
Yeah.
You're here to steal that shit. Steal the golden fleece.
We don't need to introduce ourselves to the prince, have a party. We need to go right to where it is.
Right? Because, I mean, honestly, if you go in there, they're not, and have a nice feast, they're not going to be like, oh, sure, help yourself. I'm glad you're here. We've been waiting for you to come steal our shit. Please, have at it. That's not going to happen.
What took you so long?
Right.
I mean, it's their whole, we've had prosperity since we have it. It was a gift from the gods. Sure, just take it and let chaos reign here. My bad.
Right. But that Jason gets into a sword fight with Acestes, and Acestes throws himself overboard. And you think, well, that's the end. Not the end. Even though they're like in the middle of the ocean. But
he's a good
we'll
swimmer.
get to that. He must be
on Poseidon's back, and they went for a little swim.
He must be, what's her name? Diana Nyad? Maybe that's who he is, really. Let's be honest. So Jason goes alone and meets the king of Colchis. And the hottie that they picked up in the swamp, or in the middle of the ocean, she is like a priestess of Hecate, and does a quite erotic dance when they first arrive, if I'm being honest.
The full 7 veils?
The full 7 veils! Absolutely. That reminds me of Sinbad and the Golden Voyage. But I only saw 3 of the veils! Anyway, that's not here nor there.
Don't forget to tie up your camel!
If you have not listened to our episode of the Golden Voyage of Sinbad, you got to check that out. Our buddy Antonio was on it. It was a goddamn delight. Anywho, that being said, so Jason goes and feasts with the king of Colchis, and the king's like, oh yeah, bring all your guys down here. We'll have a big old feast. And then they're halfway in the middle of the meal, and that dude flips. He flips and is suddenly like, I know you're a thief and a pirate. Take them away. Mm-hmm. So now they're in jail. And the reason they know, why does the king know what they're up to, Aaron?
Because little swimmy dude swam all the way and narked.
He narked on them. He said, yes, they're here to steal that shit. Throw them in jail. By the way, I'm going to be going out the back door and still trying to steal the shit.
That's
so
right.
he is actually the thief. But again, he's thrown, because he can't sail the goddamn Argo by himself. There's paddles. You need like 50 dudes just to paddle that GD thing. What is his plan, Aaron?
Do you notice that they have a sail on that fucking ship? How come they never use the sail?
They never do. They never do.
Everybody's always
just their
rowing.
Row. Not Jason or old ass Argo. He ain't doing shit. I'll tell you what.
No.
So
he's marching around. He's having wine with the ladies. He's doing his thing.
Now the hot priestess who they meet in the ocean. Do you know what her name is, Aaron?
Medea.
Medea. And do you know what Medea is famous for?
For killing her children.
And do you know whose children they are?
Are they Jason's?
They are Jason's children. Do you know why?
He abandoned her. It's like La Llorona.
Correct. They were together for 10 years after the adventures of Jason and the Argonauts. And then one day he's like, you're getting a little rough around the edges, a little long in the tooth, hon. There was another girl that I kind of had my eye on. And frankly, I don't think our marriage is actually valid because you follow some crazy cultist shit. That marriage ain't real. That's not a real. These last 10 years, our children, that ain't real. I'm probably going to bounce. Is that cool? I'm just going to bounce. So then she murders her children in defiance. Just like the Spider Woman in frickin' Crawl. The exact same thing.
Or like Ulysses, who's effing around while he's off the whole mother effing time, and now he's going to go crack heads in case, his wife has been unfaithful.
That's true. That's how they do it. Ulysses is the Roman name for Odysseus, by the way. Did you know that? Yes. Boom! See, I'm a font of useless knowledge. Okay. So who's the next monster we meet, Aaron?
The Hydra.
Yes. Acestes goes to steal the golden fleece, but there's a big ass Hydra, it's basically in this movie a gigantic snake with like 9 heads and shit.
9 heads and like the tail is split. It was very.
It's got like
cool.
a forked tail. A forked tail.
Now I might have been on TikTok to part of it. Usually with the Hydra, if you cut off a head, 2 heads sprout out. Did that happen?
Correct. Well, because that's the thing. The Hydra actually is not part of Jason and the Argonauts story. I think it's one of Hercules' 12 labors or some shit. And this is some old school Harryhausen shit. They can't be having new heads growing and shit. So it's a lot of actors just kind of pretending to stab like nonsense and nothing's happening. I think in the original legend with Hercules, he realized he was chopping, and more heads were growing. He learned to chop, and then you'd burn it so it couldn't grow. But there was one head that was immortal that you couldn't kill. So he just put that shit under a rock. He just just bounced. He said, "Peace, I'm out." So
it's like that. What was that movie about the 2 ladies who wanted the beauty, and Isabella Rossellini gave them the drink?
Oh, Death Becomes Her.
Death becomes her. So they become immortal, and by the end, they are broken into tiny little pieces, but still alive.
Isabella Rossellini in Death Becomes Her is a stone cold fox. I was like, holy mackerel.
Almost naked. She was almost naked.
I mean, typically she doesn't do much for me.
She had some gauze.
Whatever she was doing, it was working. That's all I'm saying. I saw her in Conclave recently. Not nearly as sexy, if I'm being honest. So, such is life.
What about Blue Velvet?
I didn't like her that much in Blue Velvet. Crazy?
She was very that
She's
crazy
creepy.
wig. she had that same haircut under that wig
Oh, is that
as Death
true?
Becomes Her. I don't think there's a big time difference between those two movies.
There might be 5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
There might be
maybe
5 or
not.
6 years. But that's neither here nor there. So, Acaestes gets killed by the Hydra. Jason kills the Hydra single-handedly and then pulls the fleece out of the tree. The fleece looked as shitty as could be, by the way. It was like a party streamer or something, like the fake gold streamer on there. It just
10
looked
years. 10-year difference.
10-year difference.
But I've
And she
seen
looked
pictures
better.
of her with the short hair after that movie because she became involved with David Lynch. So there's all these pictures
Oh.
of them, and she looks a lot like Death Becomes Her.
Oh, well, there you go.
I'll shoot you a picture later.
Please do. Please do.
And, you know,
Multiple
she was
pics.
married to Martin Scorsese too.
I don't know if I knew that. I don't know. This is all new. No one even knows who Isabella Rossellini is.
Don't even say that. That's a lie. That's a lie.
Look, here's the cold hard reality, Aaron, that we've had to embrace. Our references usually go right over people's heads if they're not of a certain
She
age.
was the face of Lancome makeup until like 10 years ago.
For reals, I couldn't tell you the face of any kind of makeup from any period of time. So who the hell knows? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So he takes care of that, steals the janky ass fleece. And then, okay, so who are the next monsters we discover, Aaron?
Then they take the teeth of the Hydra because King Mycenae, he's got the hairdo like the
His
guy.
So
It was the worst wig.
It was,
but he's dressed
ridiculous.
exactly like Sean Connery in the Little
Time
People
Bandits.
movie, Time Bandits. He's got that same little crazy wig. So the king gathers the teeth of the Hydra and starts tossing his seed to the wind, and each seed becomes like a little skeleton man ready for battle,
which was cool. But it seemed
was cool.
So Jason
Children
had
of the Hydra's teeth.
Correct. It seemed like Jason told most of the homies to get on the ship, except like 2 of his buddies. Like the 3 of us will fight these 8 goddamn skeleton people, and it seems like no matter what they're like kicking them and doing shit to them. Nothing happened to those skeletons. They were still doing their thing. You'd stab them and they jump right back up.
All the way over to Army of Darkness.
They were.
They're still ready for battle.
The best is after Jason's 2 buddies get stabbed to death by the skeletons. Jason's like, you know what? F this. I'm out of here. And literally just jumps off the cliff, the high cliff, into the ocean below, which theoretically they could have done that at any time, right? You didn't have to wait till his 2 buddies got stabbed. And then you see, like, clearly they just took, like, a freaking medical store, like, skeleton, just pitched it off there as well.
Pitching it off there.
Flopping the limbs. It was great. Just pitched that shit right off there. And then they fished Jason out of the ocean. They got the fleece. He's on deck, and they're like, cool, guys, we win. And then the movie ends. So, to say there's some threads.
It was like, and there were more tales of Jason, blah, blah, blah. After that, I'm like, oh, were there?
Right. Because there's no scene where Jason comes back to Thessaly. There's no scene where he finally kills evil King Peleus. King Peleus is probably still doing his shit for another 20 years. Right? They just leave that whole thread.
Medea hasn't even had the children that she's going to murder because of him.
Right. Honestly, if Jason's like leaving old hottie Medea behind, he needs to have his eyes checked because she was a stone cold fox. I don't know what the hell. Because I mean, that's the thing. Usually, and you know this better than most, because you watch all those old movies from the 40s or 50s. Like they looked, people looked attractive back then, but it was kind of a different thing. They weren't like sexy. You know what I mean? They were just kind of like you might see in a magazine or something. You know, like a mannequin is how they all look. You know what I mean?
Like mannequins.
They look like goddamn, because their clothes were very nice, but they didn't act like
Yes.
real people. This woman was sassy. Let me just say it one more time. She was sassy.
Well, they had a code. You couldn't be too slutty. Perhaps you watched the 20-hour fiasco Babylon.
I may tune in this week with who is that? Is that Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie? Is that what it was? Who was in Babylon?
Yeah. Margot, yeah, and that's exactly who it is. I watched it on an airplane, and it had to blur out huge sections of the whole movie.
Oh, for real?
You know what it is? It is Singing in the Rain if it was fucking depressing and too fucking long. It is. It is Singing in the Rain. It is the change from sound to talkies.
Did you see that movie, The Artist, that won Best Picture all those years ago?
I never did.
I saw it. It was like doing homework. But it was that same kind of thing where it's a silent film for frickin' at least an hour and a half. It's a silent film. And then they slowly start to add sound because it's slowly starting to become a talkie. Like the movie's actually becoming a talkie as well. Like now we're hearing sounds and he's like, oh shit. It was boring as hell. No one talks about The Artist anymore. There's certain movies that the Academy nominates because they want to seem artistic, not because they're enjoyable things to watch. So that's not a hit.
So you saw Singing in the Rain, right?
No.
Ever?
Oh. Never seen it.
So there's like the mean lady who has like that crazy accent. And then it was impossible they try to get voice coaches to help her.
Right.
But meanwhile, Gene Kelly and Debbie
Reynolds and Donald
Debbie
O'Connor.
Reynolds are falling in love. So Margot Robbie is the chick with the crazy voice. That's her character. I'm like, this is motherfucking Singing in the Rain. Stewardess, can I have another gin and tonic? Because I'm going to have to do something to knock myself out. I still got 6 hours of this movie.
No thanks. Anything else about Jason and the Argonauts, or shall we go behind the scenes?
I was very confused about the Mycenaean king, which I'm going to keep calling him that because he looks like that wig looks like it's from that.
Okay.
But also, then all his troops look like they're from Mongolia. So where are they?
They're at the other end of the world.
Apparently.
That's what they said. Whatever the hell that means.
I got nothing else to say. We hit the highlights, and the highlights are the Ray Harryhausen monsters. That's all a treasure. That's
why you tune in. You tune in for the Harryhausen monsters. No question.
Yes.
Because you're right. The performances are kind of crazy and ridiculous. The wigs are outrageous. Right?
The story is kind of crap. So yeah, you're there for the monsters and the freaks.
You couldn't add like another 10 minutes where it's like, hey, we've sailed back to Thessaly and I'm here to reclaim my throne. Add some goddamn thing. No? We're just like,
no, we ran out of money. Story's over. Peace
we're
be
good.
with you.
And also with you.
Let's
go. What do they say?
That happened in my class the other day. I was like, and peace be with you. And out of the corner, I hear someone go, and also with you.
That's what people... You know there's a Catholic, because when you say, may the force be with you, and you respond with, and also with you.
And also with you. You can't help it. It's just the words come out.
Wah, wah. Okay, let's go behind the scenes. It took Ray Harryhausen 4 months to produce the skeleton scene, which runs at most 3 minutes.
I tried to do that when I was in high school because I had 7th period drama, and I was combining it with my art class, and I had like a Super 8 camera, and I was trying to do this. And oh my God, it is slow work. 3 frames move. 3 frames move.
Pretty much any animation is slow and laborious for just that reason. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. 3 frames, And if you're doing it by hand, imagine you're drawing that all by hand. It would take you till doomsday to do anything.
Dude.
Anywho. Ray Harryhausen regarded this as his best film. Boom. That's something.
Interesting. I would say it's his best work, not his best film. I think there's a difference.
I think that's fair. While filming footage of the Argo off the coast of Italy, a replica of the Golden Hind sailed into view because they were filming Sir Francis Drake that same year. And producer yelled at them, "Get that ship out of here. You're in the wrong century, damn it."
I thought you said get that shit out of here.
Get that shit out of here.
I literally had to Google that because I'm the Golden Fleece. I'm like, if that's the Golden Fleece, what's the Golden Hind? Totally different.
Unrelated.
Until the next Sinbad movie.
Talos was changed into a living bronze giant after the success of Sergio Leone's The Colossus of Rhodes. It would become one of Harryhausen's most famous creations. There you go.
I gotta look into that.
Yeah, it's all sorts of good stuff. The live action work had been done a year before in Italy, with the actors doing a kind of shadow boxing against imaginary opponents. Harryhausen.
Yeah. What island did they scoop them all in? Because they were clearly all hired from. They looked like they were all related.
It's entirely possible. That meant he had 35 different things to move for each frame because the skeletons each had 7 skeletons, each one having 5 appendages because their head, their arms, and their legs. So for each scene, you have to move 35 different things for each frame.
Oh,
sweet Jesus. What a nightmare. That's why I'm never doing this shit. I'm
out. You're not going to do stop motion animation?
I was thinking about it. No thanks. Let's see. Colchis, the location of the Golden Fleece, is a real-life location on the east coast of the Black Sea in western Georgia.
Oh.
In Eastern Europe.
Not Georgia down south where they filmed The Walking Dead.
No. Originally, Harryhausen animated the skeletons with bits of rotting flesh hanging from their bodies, but the censors thought it was too gruesome. So the flesh was removed.
So he had to go back and reshoot the whole thing again?
He had to redo the whole... No. The liquid coming out of...
What happened to the bits of flesh, doctor?
They showed them... Here's the skeletons, and the censor said, you can't do that. So before animate, that would have been a nightmare. I would have jumped off a bridge, and they said, you need to reanimate all this shit.
It's just easier to kill the censor.
Wah, wah. It's just easier, 100%. The production ran out of food at one point during filming, was left with only Kellogg's cornflakes and spaghetti. That explains why the story just ends.
This is filmed in Italy. There's no food?
No food.
What?
They couldn't afford that shit. Let's see. The skeleton shields, if you're looking closely, are adorned with images of other Harryhausen creatures, including an octopus and the head of Ymir from 20 Million Miles to Earth from 1957.
Oh.
Boom. Let's talk about the cast and crew, shall we?
Let's go.
Jason and the Argonauts was directed by Don Chaffee, who is known for Jason and the Argonauts. He directed Pete's Dragon in 1977.
Oh my God.
Crazy.
You did so well with Jason the Argonauts. We got this one for you. You like monsters. How about a dragon? Here's Pete's Dragon.
I liked Pete's Dragon.
Because it has what's her name? The singer.
It does. Helen Reddy.
Helen Reddy. Mother loves Helen Reddy.
It was not Anne Murray, who I think you were thinking of. Helen Reddy, I don't think she's... Is she Canadian?
Wait.
I don't think she's even Canadian.
It's not Anne Murray?
It's Helen Reddy.
All right.
Don't cry out loud. That Helen Reddy. Yeah. She also sang, I am woman, hear me roar.
Hear me roar.
You know what we need to do?
Yeah.
Because she was also in Airport in 1975 playing Sister Ruth.
How
So we're going to have to...
how about Robert Redford was also in it?
In what?
Pete's Dragon.
No, he was not.
I
I'm
just
looking at it
Googled
right
it.
now.
Oh,
What?
this is like a 2016 version? What?
Oh, yeah. That doesn't count. That doesn't count.
No.
No, the
Why
original
would that
had...
need to be remade?
The original had Helen Reddy, Mickey Rooney, Shelley Winters, Red Buttons, Jim Backus. The list goes on and on. It's a list. It's all
I
star.
love
Charlie
Shelley
Callis,
Winters.
Jeff Conaway.
Oh my god.
Anyway, this is not the Pete's Dragon podcast. He also directed 5 episodes of The Avengers, and he directed something called The Crooked Road in 1965. Let's look at
Unfamiliar.
I'm not familiar with it either. Todd Armstrong played Jason. You know him from such things as Jason and the Argonauts in 1963. He was in the TV miniseries Icebound in the Antarctic in 1983.
Unfamiliar.
He was in one episode of Iron Horse in 1966.
Unfamiliar.
And he was in Walk on the Wild Side in 1962.
Take a walk on the wild side, sugar. And the
So
color
not-
girls sang. Do, 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 do.
So not
That
an
is-
amazing career for poor old Todd Armstrong.
Womp womp.
Nancy Kovac played Medea. You know her, from such things as Jason and the Argonauts in 1963. The Silencers, which is one of those Dean Martin spy movies from 1966. She was in Frankie and Johnny, also in 1966. And something called Maroon in 1969.
Like marooned, like I've been abandoned, or the color maroon?
Sorry, marooned, like you're abandoned on an island. She did a lot of TV work. Her last credit was a 1976 episode of Cannon. So you have that to look forward to. She did 3 episodes of Mannix as well, and 1 episode of Love American Style. She is a fox. I don't know what the story is. What are we doing here, Nancy? Who else? Anybody else you want? Oh, how could I forget? Honor Blackman played Hera. Do you know who Honor Blackman is?
I feel like I know that name.
You should. She was famously in Goldfinger playing Pussy Galore.
Goldfinger.
Finger. She was in 43 episodes of The Avengers playing Catherine Gale. She was...
Dude, I love the old Avengers. Not Marvel Avengers, but the old Avengers.
Correct. Well, she was John Steed's first partner. She was before Emma Peel. Catherine Gale. Yeah. So there you go. She was actually, I think she was pushing 40 when she was in Pussy Galore. She was older than Sean Connery at the time.
Wow.
And she was in 2001's Bridget Jones' Diary, playing Penny Husbands Bosworth. You know her, don't you? Okay. Anybody else you want to know about? Because there's a lot of actors I'm unfamiliar with.
Who was Zeus? He looked a little familiar.
Niall McGuinness played Zeus. You know him from such things as Jason and the Argonauts, Island of Terror in 1966, Curse of the Demon in 1957, and 49th Parallel in 1941. Sounds like a war movie.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. He is a stranger to me. Stranger danger, you might say.
Patrick Troughton played Phineas, the blind seer. You might know him from 1976's The Omen. He was Father Brennan, who gets impaled by the thing that falls off the top of the church.
From the lightning rod goes through
lightning
him.
rod. But you might also know him.
I do love The Omen.
Patrick Troughton. He was in 128 episodes of Doctor Who. He was the second Doctor Who.
Oh,
from
bless
1966.
him.
Yeah.
All right.
And he was Clove in Scars of Dracula, starring Christopher Lee, which coincidentally was also the name of my the guy who did my colonoscopy, ironically. So there you go. It all comes
Scars
back
of
together.
Dracula. It's nice how you
Not-
tied that all up in a bow.
yeah. Nigel Green played Hercules. You know him from Zulu in 1964, Color
I
Sergeant
did not
Bourne.
see Zulu. No, my
I have to,
ex-husband loved Zulu.
Zulu is great. It's a Michael Caine, early Michael
Zulu.
Caine.
All men I know love Zulu.
It's good
Not
stuff.
Shaka Zulu.
Shaka Zulu is a different film. Or that Shaka Zulu was a miniseries, actually. Jason and the Argonauts, he played Hercules. He was in The Ipcress File in 1965. And
No.
The Face of Fu Manchu, and also in 1965. He did not play Fu Manchu, though.
Did he just die before the 60s were over?
Seems
He
like it.
looked like he's the ghost of Christmas present. He just needs the robe and a cup of Christmas cheer.
And a cup, 100%, and a cup of Christmas cheer. Let's go to the ratings, shall we?
Let's go.
Jason and the Argonauts currently 89% on Rotten Tomatoes. Do you know what the audience gave it?
74.
You were very close. 79.
I almost said 76.
Let's look at the top critics. Let's see. Variety staff says the $3 million film has a workable scenario and has been directed resourcefully and spiritedly by Don Chaffee, under whose leadership a colorful cast performs with zeal. How about that?
This sounds like it was written by an AI bot. That is the worst review.
Howard Thompson of the New York Times says, this absurd, unwieldy adventure, if that's the word, is no worse, but certainly no better than most.
You're the writer. If you don't know if that's the word, then maybe use another word.
What's your problem, Howard Thompson? Aaron, what is your rating for Jason and the Argonauts?
I was very excited to see this. I watched this the morning of the Super Bowl with an elderly relative and her friend.
An elderly relative? Okay.
And within 15 minutes, they had bounced out. And yes, I had put it on because thought I was the only one in the house. But as people trickled in, they're like,
Peace.
But so I want to wrap this up in the umbrella of the Sinbad movies, but it's really not as good as the Sinbad.
It's not,
movies.
is it?
It is not. And I thought this was going to blow that shit away. The only thing it has working for it is like 3 times the number of monsters. You're watching this for the special effects because the acting's not really popping out. The story just randomly ends before anything happens. It makes no goddamn sense. So you
Correct.
are there to watch fantastic creatures murder a bunch of stupid people. And I can get behind that. I 100% believe that it's 89 for monsters. Nobody gave a shit about Jason, who burned through all his wishes from a god in like the first 5 minutes of the movie.
I lost track of how many wishes he had left. Or how they weren't even wishes.
He went over. Hera, my crew's not listening to me. Can you help out a little bit?
Right. Hera, we paddled out into the middle of the ocean with no provisions of any kind. Can you help me out? What
should we do? Oh my god.
I don't know.
There should have been a mutiny. There should have been
100%.
a mutiny. But based on all of that, again, it's worth it for the monsters. I'm going to give it a 3 for the monsters.
I think we're paddling our Argo.
And what's my favorite monster? Let me think about this.
Please.
What is my favorite monster? I really like the Poseidon scene. I thought that was really cool.
That's not Harryhausen. That's just a dude wearing a freaking
I know,
rubber.
but I still really liked it.
Okay.
But I think maybe Talos. Talos is kind of cool with the Hydra. I don't know. I don't want to say the skeletons because I actually prefer the skeleton in Army of Darkness. At
Right.
least though they were talking and cursing, and then yell
Right.
when you get stabbed. If they had more of that,
No, I agree. I'm gonna say 3.5. I honestly, I
then
thought the
you don't
Hydra.
agree if it's a 3.5.
That's a 3 or a 3.5. I thought the Hydra was pretty whack. I thought the skeletons were not bad. Talos is probably the creme de la creme. I honestly I preferred the monsters in the Golden Voyage of Sinbad, even though there are long stretches in that movie where there are no monsters. We were like, I need some more monsters, but when they were there, I liked them better in that film. If I'm being honest,
All right.
it's
The
3.5.
Cyclops. You cannot deny a Cyclops. For
I was
sure.
wondering, why is there not a Cyclops in this thing? I mean, there's
Because
one in Krull.
that's Odysseus. We needed the Ray Harryhausen Odyssey.
See, that's what I'm saying. I keep mixing them up. I don't know who saw the sirens. I don't know who saw Circe. It's all a big
Again,
mix
that's
up.
Odysseus. Nobody gave
See
a
what I
shit
mean?
about Jason. Yeah.
Guess not. God damn it. So, yeah, I would say if you're flipping channels and you come across it, pull up a chair. You may be pleasantly surprised, but I don't think you need to seek this
Exactly.
out. So, unless you're doing a podcast where you're forced to watch it. So, there you have it. Sweet Jesus. Any last thoughts before we move on, Aaron?
Pro Harryhausen, right up into Clash of the Titans. Old, not new. And I told you the time I bought Clash of the Titans and I was going to play it for my class. It was like the week Christmas break was coming up, so it was finals, and we didn't have any finals. And the first 5 minutes is a woman with a bare breast breastfeeding little Perseus.
That's
I was like,
correct.
oh shit! So I had
Where are your
to
hang-ups,
rip that
Aaron?
off.
That's a beautiful thing of a mother nursing her
Beautiful
child.
thing.
What?
I did.
Anywho.
I did show the original Romeo and Juliet, the one that the stars now are decrying, and there is a bare bun. We had read Romeo and Juliet, so they saw a bit of a Olivia Hussey breast, and nobody said a word. You saw half a cheek of Romeo, and all the guys were like, "Ah!" I'm like, no, you didn't say a word 2 seconds ago.
That's standard. And when I was in high school, we saw the Olivia Hussey. Was it Zeffirelli? Is that who directed it? I don't remember. Fellini.
Yeah, Franco Zeffirelli. Not Fellini. That would have been an entirely different movie.
Anywho, so thank you very much. You can find us on some social media. We're on Blue Sky. We're on Threads. We're on Instagram. We are on TikTok a little bit for the moment.
We're on monster.com. We're on...
We are on LinkedIn, actually, for the professional
We're
shouties.
on LinkedIn. We're there. We're on Truth Social.
No, we are not. No, we are not. You can also email us at the podcast that wouldn't die at
Gmail.
We're on YouTube. So give us if you want to see our beautiful visages, check us out on
Vimeo?
YouTube. We are not on Vimeo, I'm sad to say. Or SoundCloud, Aaron.
What about Boomerang? Are we on that?
Is that a real thing, or are you just making up shit now? Anywho, you can also
shit up now.
You can also listen to our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review. Won't you? Aaron!
Won't you please?
Aaron! What is your social media situation?
Well, about the same as the last time you asked me. I am the mistress of the TikTok where freakishly some of our things, I mean, maybe my students have YouTube channels with 500,000 subscribers. We get excited when 3,000 people view one of our videos on TikTok. And that
Correct.
has happened recently with My Demon Lover and
Shocking.
Alice, Sweet Alice. Not contemporary things, not things that is currently on HBO Max. Who are all you people? And I'm pretty sure most of our followers are in the Philippines, but that must be very big there.
I love the Philippines. Please enjoy.
Right. Dude, without the Philippines, there'd be nobody on 90 Day Fiance.
Oh,
So
sweet
I'm pro.
Jesus.
Speaking of that, are you following the trials of the lady from Pakistan who was using a fake filter and was chatting with a 19-year-old man in Pakistan, and they got married online in some kind of Islamic wedding thing? And when she showed up, it turns out not only is she not white and blonde, she's like a middle-aged African American lady, and her 19-year-old husband disappeared, and she was wandering around Pakistan demanding like large amounts of money from the government, and claiming she was never leaving because now she is Pakistani. So eventually they shoved her on a plane to New York, back to New York, like she was in like a wheelchair. They put her on her seat, but unfortunately the plane had a layover or a stop in Dubai, and she got off the plane. So then she was loose in Dubai doing the same thing, poor woman. And eventually the Dubai people then captured her and shoved her on a plane to New York.
No, I've heard none of this.
Dude,
It sounds like a freak
this is
show.
what TikTok is all about. You need to really expand your horizons. In fact, telling you that story, I don't even know what you asked me. Oh, my social media.
Jesus
I'm the
Christ.
mistress of TikTok. I am on the Instagram and Threads. I am the cult of Aaron Join the Cult. I also have work on First Dibs and Artsy. Check it out, won't
Good
you?
stuff. As you know, we like to include people's thoughts and feelings from across the social media landscape. Aaron, what do our friends say? Our followers? Anything?
I will tell you, first of all, people out there, none of you are talking to us on the Instagram or the Facebook. You only send messages on the TikTok.
Yeah.
And most of the time, I believe English is your second language, so it doesn't always make sense. But we've got a lot of feedback about My Demon Lover, which is insane because that movie is shit. But a lot of people are like, I like that movie. So that's it. I'm not calling out any names because nobody was that insightful. A lot of emojis, lot of quick comments for My Demon Lover.
People
Who
love
knew?
that shit. And I sure
People
as hell
love
didn't
that.
know it. Yeah.
What's happening? That makes no goddamn sense.
It's a nightmare. Anywho, that being said, next week we're going to be discussing the third in the trilogy, Maxine. If you saw X, if you saw Pearl, this is where they wrap it all up, allegedly.
No, this is where they crashed the car. The car was speeding. It was whipping around corners. You know, it was ready for a second trip. Third trip out, they hit a milk truck as soon as they left the parking garage.
That was
Boom.
it. That was the ball game. Spoiler alert. So
Spoiler alert.
How can you watch Maxine? Well, that's an excellent question.
Maxine is on Max, as a matter of fact.
I know. Ironically, it is on Max with a subscription. If you want to just rent it and you don't have Max, it is literally $5.99 on Apple Plus.
This
on
is
Prime.
A conspiracy because now all of a sudden everything's $5.99. Watch The Apprentice, $5.99.
Flix Fling, Plex, Fandango at Home, Prime Video, all $5.99. So my advice: get a Max subscription, and then it's free.
Oh my god!
So send
this
in
is
your.
Not a new movie for it to be that expensive, or maybe they thought Valentine's Day everybody's going to want to watch it.
They thought wrong. So, send in your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and we may talk about it on the show. So, thank you very much, and be well!
Be well.